Hi there, it's Ed Oakley. I'm at the Maritime Institute in Baltimore. This afternoon I have the pleasure of doing the kickoff session to a week-long program that a number of people from a client who's across the entire United States will be attending. And I had an experience this morning that I want to share with you because those of you who are like me, engineering background, scientific background, task-oriented background, far away from the people side of the world, if you will, I think will really relate to this. You see, I went down to breakfast in this large facility, and it's Sunday morning, and so there weren't a lot of people down there, but what I noticed is that everyone was sitting at a separate table. Tables of four with one person at probably 7 or 8 different tables. Now I'd come down the elevator and spoken to what appeared to be a delightful young woman, and as I'm getting my food and looking around where to sit, I said to myself, I should see if that young woman would mind me sitting with her. It just doesn't make sense for all these people who are here for some reason. Many of these people will be in the same sessions and they're not taking the opportunity to meet each other. Now, this is tough for me as the engineer in me, the scientist in me, the technician in me, the task-oriented person. And those of you who are more task-oriented than people-oriented will appreciate this, I think. But what I want to show is the rewards that happen when you step out of your box and step up and do things that are a little outside the ordinary. In this particular case, I did walk over to the young woman whose name is Bridget, and I said, "Do you mind if I sit with you?" She said, "No, not at all, thank you." So I sat down and we started chatting, and it turns out she's here among a bunch of firefighters who are here to learn about how to create political campaigns. Wow, what a fascinating thing. And it also says, I think something special about these firefighters. These are a little different than the typical firefighters. I would say, leaning more toward a leadership kind of a role, kind of very naturally. And in fact, I had been on the shuttle from Baltimore Airport last night with several firefighters, and I thought, wow, they're very interesting people. And not that all firefighters aren't, but it just, that they were out there having a more interesting conversation than some I might have had in that same situation before. And so here I am at breakfast finding out what they're doing there. And she's going to be part of a group running an actual simulated campaign, political campaign. So I decided to end up sharing with her the framework for leadership. I said, there might be an opportunity for you to help your group facilitate it to another level of effectiveness by using the framework. And I go through the whole thing, and among other things, one of the things that she said is, I do some personal therapy. And she said, that is so close to what I use already. And I said, are you familiar with brief therapy? And she said, yes, I am. She says that I am familiar with the concept. And that's essentially what I discovered years ago when a therapist from Colorado Springs called me and said, "Ed, where did you get this framework for leadership? I think I know where." Well, I was really glad he said that second part, because this had come to me actually in a dream, and so I didn't know where it came from except from the universe, if you will. And he starts explaining to me how it's so close to what they teach in brief therapy. But anyway, more importantly is I had a delightful conversation with this young woman, and I'm going to send her a copy of the book and coach her through how she might use the framework or use it as a template. And it's not like you have to use all 5 steps. You all know that. I've said that many, many times. But it's a guideline for what we might do in any particular situation where we're facilitating a group. So, but the message today is I'm much more enlivened now. I'm much more energized, much more in a place to serve our client really well today, because I stepped out of my box a little bit did something that was uncomfortable for me and asked if it was okay if I sat down and had breakfast with this young woman. I invite you to, when you've got this feeling that you ought to do something a little bit different, don't slough it off. Listen to yourself. Take advantage of that opportunity. Hey, what's the worst thing that happened? What's the worst thing that could have happened? I could have asked her if I could sit down to have breakfast with her, and she could have said, no, I'd rather be alone. Okay, fine, thank you, and that would have been it. So do that, and you'll find that every time you do that, it gets a little easier to do it again, and you'll literally or virtually always get rewarded for doing so. Have a great day. Thanks for letting me share this.